Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. You guys know why you're here. Today I am recapping Mel's TikTok live that she did tonight. It was a little long, so I'm going to do it in a little bit of pieces because I just got back myself because I was out tonight. You guys, I had an event to go to. So nonetheless, I am going to recap this live and kind of just go through. I'll probably do a couple of segments because you guys know I like to get straight to the point and get in and get out, right? So the first portion of the live that I'm going to recap is basically Mel alluding to, I couldn't identify whether or not, and I don't know if it's because of like the outages or the Wi-Fi or whatever on these TikTok lives, but I've never been able to successfully listen to anybody's TikTok live to where there's like no buffering of any sorts. And so it's very difficult to listen to that. Like I feel like even Instagram, it's better to listen through or listen back on people's lives, but I don't know, what TikTok is just so aggravating. But nonetheless, Mel wanted to speak on the respectful cheating comment. She said that in tonight's show, Mel basically gave the comment, hey, I didn't know there was such a thing as, respectful cheating and all these things, right? But nonetheless, Mel is basically setting the tone, that, hey, respectful cheating obviously is stupid, right? And then, Destiny going on with the tomfoolery. And again, is throughout this first portion of this TikTok is kind of setting up to where it just sounds like there has been an all-out anti-Mel campaign, and it's been orchestrated potentially by the puppet master, aka Carlos King, but most importantly by Martell, since Mel left him for good. That was the vibe that I'm getting, and I'm going to give you some examples here in a moment. And, the meat and the potatoes are, one, there was, and this I wasn't sure, because again, the buffering was a little frustrating. I don't know if this is a family member or a cast member, but multiple people obviously still will reach out to Mel for advice or help or that sort of thing. I don't know the context of this help because Mel brought out her red phone, but basically this person who is still, I guess, cool with both Mel and Tell, ask them, for help with something or whatever. I don't know if this was financial. I don't know if this is personal. I don't know what the help was, right? And so Mel was like, is there any way you can ask Martell about this? I've assisted you with this like the last 3 times, da-da-da-da-da. And basically the person said that, well, I would ask Martell, but Martell said, the last time I asked him, he said that, basically Mel makes everything easier for you, right? Or makes life easy, right? For you or whatever. Or you make Mel's life easier. Again, couldn't clarify between the buffering, but nonetheless, it felt like is what Mel was trying to say is anybody that Mel has support from, whether it's family, friends, cast members, her fan base, supporters, whomever, Martell's whole mission is to try to smear that, is trying to ruin that, is trying to damage that. And we knew this, right? But this is as recent as a couple of days ago, sometime this week, that this text message happened and a request for assistance. And Mel was always doing the assistance, but I don't know if this is a person who was closer to Martell or a relative of Martell's. I don't know. But for her to bring up, hey, can't you ask Martell? I've done this the last 3 times, and it's crickets. And this is somebody who's watched the kids, especially the weeks that Martell has had the kids. But it's okay for Martell to utilize the same person to his benefit when he needs the kids watched and everything else. But as far as anything else extensive or any additional help or whatever, he is pissed that Mel is able to provide whatever help that he can. So therefore, he feels in his mind, he's punishing this person, but is okay to use them to watch his kids while he's out in the streets doing whatever. No. And then Mel gave another example where recently there was a tennis match, right? And the Fletchers showed up, right? And basically, there was a conversation. I'm a little confused about this conversation because I thought there was a restraining order. I thought Martell's not supposed to be near Mel or talk to Mel or talk about Mel. But basically, Mel said that they were all talking, and Stormy's name got brought up, and Mel had anticipated what the conversation was going to be, because it seems there's a lot of conversation about what Mel did or didn't say, but it's not coming from Mel's side at all. Everybody's hearing everything second and third hand, whether it is from Martell, whether it's from the blogs, a Facebook group, wherever. Nobody's asking Mel directly, but they're talking bleep about her behind her back to escalate this, to make it seem like it's this big conspiracy, even though we know Mel doesn't deal with Tell anymore. So there really could only be, a few reasons that somebody blatantly is just spreading lies about things Mel said, and nobody wants to bother to fact check because they don't like her anyways, right? So Mel anticipated, whatever was said about Stormy, and you said this about Stormy, whatever, and Mel was like, basically calling Martell's bluff, saying, oh, so you think I said that Stormy's ghetto, even though I've never met her before at the time. I only got to know her like once or twice, and whatever, in passing, and it wasn't this long, extensive friendship to where I could have the discernment to be like, oh yeah, she's ghetto. And Martell was like, yeah, that's right. And so basically, in Mel's mind, she's putting the pieces together, all of these examples from reunions, from scenes, and all these things that are taking place, that is basically a setup to ambush Mel and spread lies that Martell has told them all, to make it seem like Mel is on her own smear campaign against the cast and is anti all this stuff against the cast, but it's stories that are made up by Martell, and nobody wants to fact check. And in regards to the Stormy thing, whether or not Stormy's ghetto, we already know once this gets back to her mom, once this gets back to Betty, she's going to take it and run with it, because she didn't even like Mel anyways before she even was on the show. She was being messy on Twitter and Facebook well before she even had an opportunity to be on this show. So anything that was going to be negative, that was going to be said about Stormy, that people were going to allude to or imply or flat out say with zero receipts that it was Mel, they were going to take it and run with it, because it was going to give them that validation not to like Mel. And this is the same thing that's happening with Fonny Unhooked. This is the same thing that's happening with Tisha. This is the same thing that's happening with Kimmy and Destiny, and so on and so forth. And it's so weird, because it's like, how can Mel ever recover any of these friendships? Well, the one with Destiny's done, because she just has zero boundaries and doesn't seem to care. But as far as everyone else, with Tisha even, her mom is too reckless and out of control, and is willing to spread any rumor that Martell puts out there to push the negative agenda. And it's clear as day that any tea that she has heard about Mel is coming from Martell's camp. It's clear as day, but nobody wants to fact check it. But you are the same people that anytime Martell says that the Scotts are cheating on their wives, or that Martell was with them cheating, with the Scotts allegedly cheating on their spouses, you call him a liar then. But anytime it's something anti-Mel, you say it's all facts and that it's all true. And I just need to make it make sense. Either a liar is a liar. But it's only true when it's something negative about Mel. No. That's not how this works. This is somebody who you always call Mel bitter and that she's obsessed with her ex. No. She's trying to be in a place of peace and zen. She literally has an ex that cannot stop running his mouth about her. And because he is so pissed that she left him for good and left him without access to the lifestyle that she provided for him for good, he is on an all-out campaign against her. And then there was another conversation, apparently, in regards to a previous reunion about Mel's support, about Mel's fans, but basically people looking at Martell about what could and could be said about some of these Facebook groups or some of these group chats or whatever, and basically trying to get confirmation, as long as there's not slander against the Holt kids, whatever we say about Mel is cool. Like, no matter how filthy and disgusting. And it's like, aren't these the same people that cry on social media, that cry on the show, and claim that they're being bullied, harassed, and attacked by the millimeters? But it's okay for you guys to hide in group chats. It's okay for you guys to hide in Facebook groups. Even with the, situation that happened at the warehouse with Stormy. Why was Kimmy and Marceau in those Facebook groups spreading that this was all a plan to go to the warehouse by Mel? Just out in the open spreading this with zero receipts. I've never even heard of such things.
But every single negative thing that has happened to this cast, they automatically say, oh, Mel set this up. Mel told her fan base to do X, Y, and Z, and that's why we're receiving bad, whatever. And it makes zero sense. There is zero proof. There's zero receipts, but it's easy to take it and run with it, right? And so then Mel is giving the other example of Destiny having no boundaries and how she was also at the tennis match, for her daughter. Obviously there to support Martell, and she's fine with that in the sense that the kids know Destiny, right? But at the same token, you're also at whatever, place of residence Martell is at every 2 weeks, where he's like bouncing around like a squatter, like his best friend, right? With the kids and obviously with the 10-year mistress. And, you're spending all this time with Mel's kids, but then you're going on podcast after podcast after podcast, bashing Mel's name. Anytime you link up with anyone else in the cast, you're bashing Mel's name, but you're spending all this time with Martell and the kids. But the one time Mel goes to LaBarracks to get something to eat and has the kids with her, you go on a podcast and spread the lie that Mel and LaBarrack are involved romantically with each other. And all these things. And it took Dustin to clarify what Destiny was trying to imply there. And then she tried to say, oh, well, I don't know for sure. But you basically made it seem like previously, like you did a FaceTime with your son, and Mel and LaBarracks were getting it on in the bedroom, is what you made it seem like, until Dustin had the wherewithal to clarify what that statement really was about. And it was like, oh, I FaceTimed him and they were at the restaurant and it was Mel and the kids at the restaurant. Well, that's a totally different thing than trying to imply something romantic and intimate. And that was absolutely disgusting. And another example of the lies Destiny tells, but then her lack of boundaries, trying to be all chummy with the mistress, trying to be all chummy with the kids, and knowing all of the things that this mistress says about the kids behind, Mel's back, that it comes out in court or it comes out in other ways. Or you have Destiny pretending to be cool with the kids, but bashing their mom, on every other platform. What has Mel ever said about Destiny's kid? What has Mel ever said about any of these cast members' kids, you guys? Zilch, nothing, nada, you guys. Nothing. Everything has been about their particular relationships with each other and the rights and the wrongs of them. It has never gone beyond any of this other tomfoolery, you guys. But nonetheless, here we are, right? So we have that happening, right? Then we also have, the follow-up of the girls' trip drama, right? And Mel even said that she made it a point. She said she's from the South. She wanted to make sure everyone had, everyone was happy on the trip. She was always checking in with everyone individually, separately, off camera, that everybody was having a good time. And everyone lied to her face and made it seem like everything was cool. And even Mel and Destiny apparently had a conversation about, how comfortable she was, how her mental health was, and whether or not did she truly know whether or not Sonny was going to be on this trip. And Destiny told her to her face she didn't. But here is the, the bombshell, right? Mel, when she went to talk to Destiny, there were no cameras around, you guys. And Mel hears the record button. So those of you who have iPhones, right? I have an iPhone. When you hit voice memo and your sound is on, even if it's on vibrate too, sometimes I believe, but if it's on silent, you can still hear it. If you hit the record button, it's like a little bing, a little ding or whatever. You can tell that a recording's about to happen, right? And so nonetheless, Mel peeps it immediately because obviously she's got an iPhone. Obviously she's aware of this, right? And so Mel is like, stops the conversation. Is like, are you trying to record me? And Destiny's like, no. I was just trying to charge the phone. And her face looked shocked, but there was no visible signs of Destiny trying to charge her phone. And so Mel just kept that in her back pocket. But these were the same things that Martell accused Mel of doing, of secretly recording them. Meanwhile, it's more than likely that Martell was recording Mel, hence why he was going to record her allegedly out on dates and stuff. So nonetheless, it's all of these things that, and Mel even confirmed, that the saying that Mel and the side chick were friends, that she's heard Martell make comments like that before, knowing daggone well, Mel and the 10-year mistress cannot stand each other in any capacity. So why such comments like that are being made, or even being insinuated like that? Can you make it make sense? But nonetheless, it's very weird and very odd behavior of Destiny. I don't know if she thought she was going to have a gotcha moment by recording now all of these conversations or interactions with Mel and hoping as a gotcha to reveal on a podcast or reveal on the show at a later date. And then basically something was relayed back to Mel that Destiny then made the comment, if she ever comes back on the show, she's going to come back with a vengeance. I.e., Mel was going to be her target, which was really the real reason Destiny was brought back, right? The Sunny and Moses thing is really just to give Destiny a storyline, but her main storyline is Mel. To bring out, alleged receipts that, again, are not verifiable from 4 or 5 years ago and go on this smear campaign on these podcasts and all of these other things, like, it's exhausting. And it's just giving obsession. But you guys say it's Mel that's obsessed. But Mel is trying to lay out and plant the seeds and plant the information out here that you guys, this is a whole plot. This is a whole scheme. Mel thought everybody was cool after this girls' trip. Mel is finding out. Mel is being bashed still at other people's events. In case in point, Nell said, I guess they went to a birthday event at Marceau's at the Black with the Kiwi Cigar Lounge. And it's Destiny running her mouth about Mel. Mel this, Mel that. And Nell basically said in that moment, I'm not going to be partaking in any Mel slander. But, like, what are we doing? And this is why I get on the fence with Nell. Because I feel like sometimes she has sense and she understands that how some of these people are moving in the cast aren't cool. But then there's other times she feeds into the nonsense. And that is where I'm like, okay, Nell, if you're a true friend of Mel, there's some things you're just not going to say or do. If you didn't like something Mel said or did, you would tell her directly, but you wouldn't be calling her stubborn and all of these things and selfish out in an interview and not even talking directly with Mel first about any type of potential issues prior to this podcast happening. But nonetheless, these are the things, this is the flippity-floppity nonsense that takes place with Nell. But I always got the vibe, you guys, that the fake outrage that quickly pivoted towards Martell regarding what happened with the Revenge P, the DV, and the third-degree harassment was always for PR purposes, so that they did not get dragged by Mel supporters or by Mel fans or by people with common sense that can critically think, right? I always felt it was fake news, right? And that they were still going to entertain Martell. They were still going to hang out with him. Henceforth, the vow renewal, Martell was there, right? So nonetheless, it was all fake, right? It was all fake to appease the fans, but secretly, you're still enjoying somebody who is leading the charge and potentially co-leading the charge, allegedly with the puppet master, on this anti-Mel campaign. And so then people want to drag Mel whenever she comes out to respond, but actually there's a lot that she hasn't responded to. And so that's why, I wanted to break up these videos, because there's so much tea in them and there's so much that she is laying out over the course of a few hours that we've really got to dive into. So nonetheless, that is it for this part of the video, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts about this, about the family member, the relative, or close friend, or whomever it was, cast member, that Mel's been helping out significantly, at least on 3 separate occasions, and on the 4th occasion they reach out, Mel asks, okay, well, what about Martell? And Martell doesn't want to help this person because of the fact that she feels that she benefits from Mel more than anything. So, but basically is okay okay to use her to watch his kids, but doesn't want to help her because Mel has helped her. And feels like that's like a betrayal, right? But it's just very exhausting, this tit and tat and this, ridiculous behavior as of a couple of days ago, that Martell is still on this BS. And that is why Mel can't really hang out with this cast, because of the ongoing smear campaign. But on the flip side, if she leaves the show altogether, it gets worse. Like there's no happy medium, you guys, because these people won't stop. But then they have the talking points to feel out to their favorite bloggers that everything's Mel's fault, that Mel's doing all this stuff, that Mel's having these secret meetings leading the troops. All of it's a projection. You guys are the ones that are coordinating all these attacks. And specific attacks. Because I was the recipient of ones, and I was catching bullets for things I didn't even say or do. So that's how I know this is all coordinated and planned and nonsense. But nonetheless, something has to give. How about you bring something to the show instead of your obsession of Mel? How about you have something actually going on in your lives instead of trying to find new ways every day to try to take down Mel, try to bash Mel, because it keeps garnering the opposite reaction. So there is that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.